The Holocaust during the Second World War was horrendous. It has changed the world. It has changed people. Let's see how it has impacted the whole universe. Welcome to Wordnet. And today we have a guest, Stephen Geiger. Stephen has been involved, or his family was part of the Holocaust during the time of the Second World War. He's originally from Budapest, but he's going to share with us about his life. Stephen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you
Welcome
very much.
to Wordnet.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. I was so interested and was kind of drawn into when I was going through your bio, and when I saw that your family was part of that Holocaust and your family.
Well, it's more than just being a part of it. If you were a Hungarian Jew who was living in Hungary at the time of World War II, everybody was a victim to the anti-Semitism and the deportation of Jews and the killing of Jews. They used to be, before World War II, before 1945, there were 900,000 Hungarian Jews living in Hungary. After the war, it was only 300,000 left. 600,000 Hungarian Jews were murdered, including my paternal grandparents, my father's only two sisters, including another 80 relatives of mine on my father's side and my mother's side. The person who I'm named after was Stephen Fried, my mother's brother. He was murdered by the Hungarian fascists, actually, the Arrow Cross. And I was named after him. And other relatives were murdered. And my father, you talked about Austria.
Yeah.
My father was in Mauthausen, which is near Linz, Austria. It's one of the main concentration camps. It was a death camp. They had gas chambers as well. And my father was interned there for several months. And when he was liberated by the U.S. Army in 1945, May 5th of 1945, he weighed about 80 pounds. Now, I'm 6 feet tall. I'm a little bit overweight now, 30 pounds overweight. But my father, at 80 pounds, was about 100 pounds underweight.
Now, Steve, you spoke about your family, and we're also mentioning about the World War. What triggered them, or who was instrumental in, for them to leave the country and flee?
You mean us?
Yeah.
But that came later on. I left in 1956. I was born after the war. I was born in 1948. And this 1956 was the Hungarian Revolution. And that gave an opportunity for 200,000 Hungarians, Jews and non-Jews alike, to leave Hungary. Because the Russians took over after this revolution was not successful. The Russians came back in full force and took over. The Russians were very much to Hungary as the Russians are now to the Ukraine. And it was part of the Eastern Bloc. And we were waiting, we were listening to the radio all the time, Radio Free Europe, waiting for Eisenhower to bring the Marines and save us from the Russians. It never came. So on November 29th of 1956, my parents and I, with a guide, there's about 14 of us, went to the end of the country from Budapest close to the border, and we escaped. It was a total escape. At nighttime we went, there were skyrockets looking for us, and then we got into a prone position. And then finally, after walking 14 miles, we went to the Austrian border, and went to a Red Cross station, and the next day went to Vienna, and then started applying for refugee status to the United States.
Can you explain to us more about, when we speak about Holocaust, Holocaust can be understood in different ways as a general terminology. But can you explain to our audience exactly what you mean by and what exactly is the horrendous aspect of it?
Sure. First of all, Holocaust in Hebrew is called the Shoah. There was no time in history, especially modern times, where 6 million Jews were murdered in Europe, and murdered first by a very cultured society, Germany. Germany was had composers, had writers. It was a very cultured society that began the Holocaust. At the same time, Europe was ripe for the Holocaust only in the sense that you had anti-Semitism everywhere, in Hungary as well, and in Poland, and in France. You had the Vichy government in France, which was pro-Hitler. So anti-Semitism has been around for 2,000 years. And Hitler and his group of Nazis worked on that. And this is what happened to 6 million Jews all throughout Europe. I think percentage-wise, it was like 3/4 of the European Jews were murdered. And out of Hungary, which had 900,000, 600,000 were murdered. So it's a I mean, you think about that. It's a horrendous amount of Jews that were murdered. And 1.5 million children were murdered. They threw up babies and with bayonets then knifed them. And you had Babi Yar, which happened in Ukraine, of all places, which was just recently bombed right near that by Putin. So Jews have been used to being outcasted. It was nothing unusual. We've lived with anti-Semitism for a long time. Middle Ages. Look at the Inquisition.
Yeah, I know.
So it was nothing new. But the enormity of 6 million of being thrown into gas chambers, thinking they're showers, of them being cremated without a grave. And this is what's called the Holocaust. And when you say the word Holocaust, this is what you're talking about. You can say that other places were terrible. Rwanda was terrible. You can say it was like a Holocaust, but it was not the Holocaust, because there's no example of such horrendous
We call
numbers.
them not exactly as Holocaust. We call it genocide, right?
No, genocide, yes. Genocide, yes. But the Holocaust, the 6 million Jews were murdered, of all different backgrounds, intellectuals, poor, and I say 1.5 million children. And hopefully nothing like this ever happens to anybody. You don't wish it on any society. And this is why I'm very upset every day about what's going on in Ukraine.
I want to get some of your
but this is the Holocaust.
Opinion as well as not only just opinion, your observation about what's going on in Ukraine, because you also mentioned about Budapest. Being part of, or Russia trying to invade.
Well, when I was a child at 8 years old, before we escaped, our apartment building was shot at by a Russian tank, and it caught on fire. And we had to run away from the building itself. So I know what it is when a Russian tank fires at my apartment building. Personally, I know it.
Yeah, we will come to that definitely, because we are all right in the middle of this war in Ukraine, by Russia. But again, coming back to the Holocaust, you have started a program called the Holocaust Education. What does that Holocaust education mean?
Well, one of it is this book, Be a Mensch. This is written by Alex White, who is now 98 years old, and he lives in Arizona. And his father told him, before the Nazis took him off to Auschwitz, my boy, whatever you do, be a Mensch, which is the biggest compliment in Yiddish that you could give to another person in the shtetls of Europe where they spoke Yiddish. Is be a good person, be a decent person, always be a decent person. And when I started the foundation, I needed a name for the foundation on how am I going to teach the Holocaust. And that's when I thought of the best name. This is the Mensch Foundation.
Mensch. So your foundation that you have started, called the Mensch International Foundation, the Mensch International Foundation's main focus is to speak and teach about Holocaust?
Well, I want, I'm already 74 years old.
Uh-huh.
Most of the Holocaust survivors are way over 80, and less and less are going to be alive to speak to students. They do. Many people go to high schools. So it's up to me as a second generation to keep this history, this terrible history, alive. So we want, first of all, there's 12 states in America, 12 states that mandate Holocaust education.
Mm-hmm.
The other 38 don't mandate it, and they should. And part of the fact is that young people have to know about the worst thing that ever happened, and so that they will learn not to distinguish between people based on race, color, creed, or sexual gender. You must judge each person by their character, like in the words of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a quotation at this point.
Yeah, please.
There was a American-born theologian ethicist named Carl Paul Niebuhr.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in Missouri, and I think he passed away in Massachusetts. He was a Protestant. And he said after World War II, he said, well, when they came for the communists, I did not say anything. After all, I was not a communist. Then they came for the Jews. Again, I said nothing. After all, I was not a Jew. Then they came for the Catholics. Again, I was silent. I said nothing. I'm not a Catholic. Then they came for the Protestants. They came for me. There was nobody alive to say anything for me.
By the time everybody was annihilated.
So this goes to Ukraine as well as to the you must speak up, and you must not allow anybody else to be mistreated. If somebody says a bad word about you as an Indian, about you as a Catholic, about me as a Jew, if it's another person, I must speak up. I must tell them, what do you think? Who do you think you are to say something like that? You must not allow anybody, and children have to learn that at a young age so they can stand up. Because it's very difficult to stand up sometimes because you have peer pressure. But if you're taught that in your religious studies, whatever religion you are, or if it's not a religion, even in the schools, against bullying, you must teach children to have character, to speak up if something evil is being done around them, and to learn that as a lesson when they become adults.
Yeah. No, I do. I strongly agree with you, because every religion, it doesn't matter which religion, every religion and every faith tradition teaches to respect, to protect,
That's right.
and to love.
That's right.
All religions
are like that.
All religion. It is, I think, those of us.
I wear here. I'm not a religious person, but I bought this in Israel when I first went there in 1973. These are the 10 Commandments.
10 Commandments.
Now, whether Moses was given it or not, I'm not going to argue how it came to it. But those 10 Commandments, if you just follow 5 of them, you're in good business. Thou shalt not kill.
They are like the foundation, They are like the foundation of, I would use the word humanity.
That's right. And that's where Mensch comes in.
Yes.
Because Mensch means in German.
Okay, so if that's the case, let's wait. Hold on with that thought. We are going to take a short break. We'll come back, and when we get back, we want to speak more about the Mensch International Foundation and what are the different kind of activities that you do. Of course, all in line with what I mentioned, humanity.
Thank you.
Please, I hope you are enjoying the dialogue, the discussion that we are having with Steve. Please stay with us. There's more to come.
Do you want to fall in love with God? I'm sure we all want to. The book of Psalms contains the directions. Thousands of years ago, people like you and me talked to God out of the depths of their hearts, revealing an intimate love. Psalms are the expression of the faith in God by people around 3,000 years ago. God was not a mere abstract creator, but was present, involved, and a real person of power and emotions. Now, when we read or listen to the Psalms, we can know the intensity of this love. Entering into the influence of the Psalms, we can find a path to know and love God. To know more about the Psalms, you should get a copy of Father Mike Manning's booklet, The Psalms. It will help you to understand the 150 Psalms better as he has categorized them. He uses the technique of acts: adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, and supplication. Get your copy today and know the categories. Learn to pray with the Psalms.
Call the number on the screen or email us. You can also get it through our website. Get your copy today.
Welcome back. We're having this wonderful discussion with Steve Geiger, who has founded this foundation called the Mensch International Foundation, which concentrates on Holocaust education. I hope you're enjoying the dialogue with Steve. We're now going to get more information on this Mensch International Foundation and what exactly the activities of this Mensch International foundation are. Steve.
Well, basically, we provide reading material such as Via Mensch. Just recently in Palm Desert, we gave the Mensch Award to 2 high school students who wrote essays after reading the book. So that's number one. We provide, and then we have people coming for lectures about the Holocaust. Not only survivors, because I say less survivors as we go on, second generation like myself, whose parents survived the Holocaust. And then we give the Mensch Awards to people who have done a great deal, not only as far as the Holocaust is concerned, but for humanity and for other good stuff that they have done, like Frank Capra for making a film that's the universal topic of goodness. So that's basic. So our message is not just the Holocaust itself, but using the Holocaust as a vehicle to teach young people to be decent to each other, to be Menschlichkeit, as they say in German and Yiddish. A Menschlichkeit person is somebody who acts like a Mensch.
So
and it's very important concept.
Mensch, as you mentioned, it is to be kind, to be understanding, to be respectful to other people, right?
It's more than just being, it's not just saying please and thank you.
Yeah, of course.
It goes much beyond just being respectful. It's being somebody who's intentionally works on doing stuff that helps humanity. Okay, it's not just, thank you very much for the cake and
yeah.
It goes much beyond, much deeper sense. And I'll give you an example. A Hungarian gentleman called Fehér, his last name it's called White, lived next door to a very old synagogue in Hungary. It's still there in Mad. And there was nobody there anymore no more Jews there. They were all murdered. And people would come from all over the world to see the synagogue. He had the key. And so they would have to knock on his door, next door, and he would show them the synagogue and talk about it. He was not getting paid for this. He just did it because it was the right thing to do. And when we found out about this in Hungary, we give him the Mensch Award. An unknown person, just a regular guy, and he still lives there in Mad. It's called M-A-A-D. It's a city in Hungary, M-A-D. And there's a very good old synagogue there. And you knock on his door, everybody knew, all tourists, they'd knock on his door, and he'll open the door to the synagogue. He had the keys to the synagogue.
How do you said you gave an award to him. You also mentioned that in Palm Desert you gave award to 2 students who wrote about.
Because since we want kids to read about it, we want them not just to read about it, we want them to express their feelings about it.
They wrote the essay.
So they wrote essays.
Yeah.
And 2 people won the award this last year. And every year we'll be giving Mensch Awards to students who read it and who we decide wrote the best essays.
So you said you're going to be giving this award to Frank Capra posthumously. Now, what exactly is the award? Is it a citation or a?
No, it's not. It's a small crystal statue, not a statue. It's a crystal award with the words on it, Mensch for all seasons. You exemplified the best of humanity.
Okay. Does it also accompany any cash award as
No,
well?
then you're not a Mensch anymore.
Oh.
If you're only doing it just to get some money, that defeats the whole purpose.
But the money can be used also for humanitarian aspect.
Well, but we do that, but we have no control over that.
Okay, yeah.
And we don't want somebody looking for an award because there's money in it. There's no money in it. The fact that you are called a Mensch should be enough for you, because
that is your everything. It
exactly.
It is much beyond the finance, the money.
If somebody is to call me, Steve, you are a real Mensch, I don't need any more. I don't even need an award. The fact that somebody acknowledges that you're a good, decent human being, just acknowledge
that itself is an award. Now, going a little further, you said this award and this recognition is given annually, or
it's not again, because there are other Mensches all over the world. It's not like you have to have a special day for the Mensch Award. We give Mensch Awards in Hungary. We have given it. We give it in and have given it in Israel. We have given it in the United States. We have given it in what other? I'm trying. 3 countries, other countries. No, these are the 3 countries where we have actually given it. 3 presidents of 3 countries have been awarded the Mensch Award. I had the personal pleasure of giving it to George H.W. Bush and Barbara Bush in 2017 in Houston. My wife and I went to Houston. There was a big program in a synagogue, and not only the rabbi of the synagogue was there, but his his pastor from his church was also at the synagogue and spoke. So he was one of the presidents. We also gave, that was in 2017. In 2015, we gave it to the former president of Israel, Yitzhak Navon. He was 94 years old then, and I gave it to him in Tel Aviv, because he was a very decent human being. And the third was a president of Hungary in 2006, Arpad Günz, who was a writer and who was imprisoned by the communist regime for 2 years. And so 3 presidents, it's not just me giving it, they have to accept it.
Yeah.
We don't just say, well, we'll give it to you whether you accept it or not. And they accepted this award and felt they were honored by it.
Now, we already mentioned, and I want to come to that topic as well. You mentioned about Hungary being attacked by Russia, and one of the reasons for you and your immediate family to leave Budapest and come to seek asylum to the United States was also because of the civil war or whatever happened at that time there. Now, relating that, Russia trying to overpower and take over some of these European countries, a similar situation is happening in Ukraine, and you mentioned you are disturbed by it. Why are you disturbed by it?
Well, even if I was not a Hungarian refugee when I was 8, I would be disturbed by that. I think protecting democracy and the right to choose your country independence is your choice.
You should birthright.
I don't think any independent country should be invaded by any other country. And what's happening now with killing of civilians, it's a war crime. And most of these people in Russia, his citizens, don't even know what's going on. They're being fed propaganda. They're cutting off all free media has been cut off. The internet has been cut off. They have no access. All the Russian people have lost access to the free world. It's just like the way it was during the communist era of the Soviet Union. They were cut off with free information. And in Hungary, during World War II, we were allies with Stalin against Hitler. But we knew that who were our allies, but we needed them to fight the war, and they were also invaded by Hitler. And but after the war, the Soviet troops, wherever they liberated the countries from Hitler, they ended up staying there. We left. The Russians stayed in Hungary. The Russians, all the Jews that were still left in Budapest and Hungary, were very happy to get the Soviet troops to get rid of Hitler. But we did not ask them to stay forever. The fact that they liberated us did not give them the right to stay forever. And that's what they did until 1989, when the Soviet Union blew up a little bit, thanks to Gorbachev, and also to the pressure that we gave from Ronald Reagan.
Yes, Reagan.
You have to have, unfortunately, you have to be a realist. As much as we want to have peace and love and everything, you must have a strength of military power. You have no choice. If you're not strong enough to beat off evil and evil regimes, you lose. Unfortunately, that's the reality. I'm not a pacifist. I believe in love and peace and all that stuff. It's very important. You have to defend yourself. You have to defend yourself. You have to defend your family, and you must. And you can only do it with first it's physical power. At the times when there's no weapons, then unfortunately it's weapons.
Self-defense, I think, is never considered to be a evil or wrong.
It shouldn't be.
No, it is not.
It shouldn't be.
And I think even when I say self-defense, even defending myself from the evil force that is trying to enter in me, I'm defending myself. That also is, again, nothing wrong with that.
It's a positive part of human nature to survive. You want your family to survive. You want your clan to survive. You want your people to survive, to defend yourself.
Thanks, Steve.
I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
And I'd like to tell your audience, be a Mensch. Whatever you do, be a Mensch. No matter how tough it is, you have to be a Mensch.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing your enthusiasm and your
thank
passion.
you for the honor of having me.
Passion and to sharing with our audience about the Mensch Foundation, so also about the Holocaust. I think this is very apt and timely, because the whole world is going through a similar situation and we are all watching what's going to happen. So let's make sure that
Well, I hope the world learns from history. You know, nothing is worse than repeating history. And there's a saying that those who do not learn from history will live to repeat it. And we hope that's not the case.
That's not the case. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. And thanks to you all, our audience, for listening to Steve and myself. I hope you have enjoyed this wonderful dialogue about his personal experience as well as about the Mensch Foundation. As he said, be a Mensch, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please, if your heart tells you, continue to support this ministry. Thank you so much, and be protected. Blessings always.